We closed last week with that transition of Paul into verse 28 that says those very words that we outlined by saying we must endure, live together to endure for the gospel. Because all Christians, the Philippians included, must expect to suffer for the gospel, to be opposed, to be in conflict, and be ready to endure that. We must not be frightened to flee the scene. We must not be afraid or move to hide or just shut up and not say anything else. We must not be surprised by adversaries that hate God and reject Jesus and oppose truth in the many various ways that it's happening. Verse 28 says that. And then it goes on to explain why and how to respond. How, reasons that extend from verse 28 into verse 30. When we come to those thoughts today, how not to be alarmed. And then verses 28 to 30, we will see three of those reasons, three ways to help us not to be alarmed. Verses 28 to 30 of Philippians 1 will provide us three things to know, you might say, three things to know about opposition to the gospel, about conflict for the truth that can prepare us to rejoice and not be alarmed, not be fearful. Look back at verse 28 where we picked up this from last week and move into our first point for today. So here's how not to be alarmed. Point number one, know that opposition is a sign of eternal importance. Let's take away application number one. Know that opposition, that conflict for the truth, is a sign of eternal importance, eternal significance. Opposition to the truth of the gospel points to this reality. First of all, he says that the rejection of the gospel of Christ will lead to hell. That's what he's saying. It proves the reality that there is an eternally significant spiritual battle. There is a war going on right now in the presence that has eternal implications. And so he said, number one, we know that opposition is a sign of eternal importance. Now, secondly, know that opposition is a gift of eternal importance. Opposition, conflict for the gospel, know that it is a gift of eternal importance. The conflict between light and darkness, it's not only an indicator, a proof, a demonstration of these distinctly different destinies, it is also a gift of suffering for the gospel that's included with the gift of faith in the gospel. Right? Ephesians 2, 8 and 9, we mentioned earlier, right? That is a gift. Faith is a gift. Guess what he says? Faith is a gift and it comes with suffering for the gospel. That gift of faith comes with the gift of suffering in God's grace. And so then the opposition is a gift of eternal importance. Verse 28 highlighted that salvation is from God. Verse 29 further adds that in addition to faith comes suffering as a gift from God. It's connected. They go together. Like it or not, that's what the text says. Suffering is a gift from God. So we need to see, number one, that opposition is a sign of eternal importance. And number two, that it is a gift of eternal importance. And number three, that opposition is a partnership of eternal importance. Point number three, know that opposition is a partnership of eternal importance. Conflict for the gospel is a partnership that has this eternal significance. When those who are hostile to God and His Word went to battle against the Philippians, or when they go to battle against you, a faithful Christian today, we share the same conflict that Paul had. We just get in line with him. We enter into the fellowship of his sufferings, Philippians 3:10, the fellowship of Christ's sufferings. Those who hated the Lord Jesus, hated His Word, we enter in that fellowship. We enter into that partnership. And so these truths prepare us, equip us, move us to reset your expectations. Renew your perspective on God's good plan. No, opposition, gospel conflict, it's a sign of eternal importance. It's a gift of eternal importance, and it is a partnership of eternal importance. And when we remind ourselves of those truths, we're better prepared not to fear. Because we know our sovereign God, we know His greater purposes. And so we won't fear.